Khadevis Robinson here with Lawrence. We call you Boogie, but what do you like to be called?
You know what? I don't think anybody. My mother doesn't call me Lawrence. Mostly everybody that I know calls me Boogie, man. Right. So Boogie is fine, man.
Boogie's where it's at.
I will respond to that.
So do the athletes? Do they say Boogie? Do they say Coach Boogie?
Coach Boogie.
All right.
Coach Boogie most of the time.
All right.
Some of them, when they first meet me, is Coach Johnson, but once they get to know me, it's Coach Boogie.
So where are you originally from?
I am from, northwest side of Houston, but moreover, Prairie View, Texas is where I call home. So that's where I was raised primarily.
All right.
Went to Waller High School right outside of Prairie View. Raised by my grandmother. I have four other brothers. One, Chris Johnson, Chris over at the University of Arkansas.
All right.
He's a track and field coach over there too.
Yeah.
So I'm native to the state of Texas. I always have deep roots and ties here. Right. Not this part of Texas, but Texas is Texas. So
yeah. So you coach some of the top athletes in the world, and I think a lot of people want to know is how did you end up in Fort Worth, Texas?
Well, it's a crazy story. Back in 2013,
all right,
Greg Schollers and I were in Uxbridge, London. Well, Uxbridge is outside of London. It's in the UK. And Greg, he was at the time working with Charles Silman, that just came out of TCU. Yep. And Charles was probably one of the fastest guys on the planet at the time. He was making his debut for the World Championship team in Moscow, Russia. So kind of as a stop gate, we were kind of stopped in Uxbridge as a training site in preparation to go on over to Moscow for the World Championships. And so I've known Greg for years and years and years. In fact, when I was over at Long Beach City College, Greg recruited me. He was coaching over at Texas Tech. He recruited me at that point to come to Tech. I ended up going to, and I was this close to going to Tech because Greg has a huge personality, loves to talk, loves to chat, really loved his personality. And he was
still an Eskimo fan too.
Exactly. And so I ended up going to Arkansas, but it wasn't because, and I thought about it, it's like I always wanted to go to Arkansas.
Yeah.
A cat named Daryl Hawkins from my hometown went there and he played basketball on a national championship team there. So, and Arkansas had the best track team in the world at the time. So I always wanted to go to Arkansas. So that opportunity came. So I actually took less of a scholarship to go to Arkansas versus Tech than anybody else. So Greg was showing me these renderings of, he had this grand plan that he wanted to put together on some ranch in Fort Worth. So he had it on his phone. Had this track design, had this weight room design, had this basketball arena designed and all that. It says, look, when we get this thing built up, I want you to be your first. I want you to have your group out there first. And so Greg and I are friends, and sometimes we have, as friends, we always have these grand ideas.
Yeah.
One day I want to run the marathon or I want to, climb Mount Everest or whatever. But sometimes these things happen, sometimes they don't. So I was like, hey, Greg, if you ever get it built up, dog, I'll be the first one over there. And so time went on. We're living out in Los Angeles for like 8 to 10 years, and we're training, and it's great. I loved LA, and COVID hit, right? And Los Angeles, California, everything was really, really, really tight.
Yeah.
And so we done our best for maybe 6 months, training in the park, wherever we could find a trail. All the tracks were shut down, locked.
So hold on. I don't mean this cut, but like you was running in the park and trails and stuff with some of the top athletes in the world.
Yeah, we're running in the parks in Van Nuys, California, and Northridge, California, and on the beach and etc. Just trying to get some training in because they locked all the tracks in all of Southern California. We couldn't get in anywhere. And so we just train in the park. I'm got my metric wheel and we're wheeling off stuff every day. And we're dodging dogs and running around cats and frisbees and whatever, divots and whatever else we could. And so trying to make it work. So kind of COVID was kind of easing up, but the restrictions in California weren't.
Yeah.
So we got to a part in the season where we needed to kind of run some meets, to kind of satisfy some contractual things just in case. We didn't know if the shoe companies were going to exercise force majeure or whatever. So we just like, well, we need to make sure we get our counters. So we came up with a pretty creative idea to kind of have maybe 5 or 6 meets in a weekend, and we needed a place to do it. And so we were just kicking things around, and all of a sudden we said, wait a minute, the ranch is open.
Yeah.
So between Edric Florell and myself, some other guys, we got together. We called Greg, and Greg was like, look, man, we got to put on some meets. This is what we're trying to do. You think we can get it done? And Greg was like, heck yeah, let's do it. He was super excited. There hadn't been any meets run on the track yet. It was out there, and he got excited about it. And he was like, let's do it. So the planning started. We ran some meets there, and we had, before the ranch became like what it is today, that first track meet we had over there, or the series of track meets we had over there, we had everybody from Sha'Carri Richardson, who's a hometown girl, to Michael Norman, to Rye Benjamin, to Dalila Muhammad, to Brianna Rollins McNeil, and a plethora of more international athletes here running in those races, trying to get everything in for the contract.
Yeah.
So, and we set a bunch of records. Like Brianna set the 150 world record that's still standing today on that track. So everybody that was anybody converged from all parts of the United States and beyond, converged on Fort Worth for 3 or 4 days to run this meet. So we run the meet. That was a success. We got some things done. And so go back to California, and, we rose into the off season, start training again, and it's still, we think, well, maybe they loosen it up. It's still locked down.
Yeah, man.
And we're rolling into a world championship, actually Olympic year, because we missed it in 20. So we're rolling into 21 is going to be the Olympic year.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is not tenable. We just can't so we can't go over any hurdles, and we can't do anything. So I thought to myself, I said, well, maybe we'll go out to Texas. I told the group, I said, look, let's just go out to Texas no, I take that back. I said, I'm from the Houston area. So I said, we're going to take this thing to Houston for about 6 months. Then we talked about it for a few months. I said, you know what? Let's just move there. And if it doesn't work, we just always come back to California. So we went down to California, took the crew down there for 2 or 3 visits. Everybody's looking for apartments. I'm looking at tracks. I'm looking at weight rooms, all the things that we need, physios to run a program. And my wife and I looked at a few houses, put an offer in. And dude, I got back to California, and I laid down with sleep. A couple days later, and I got up, and I just kind of sat up in the bed, and I said, you know what? I got to call Greg.
Yeah.
Because I remember, for whatever reason, that random conversation that we had.
Yep.
And all the crew thinks that everything we're doing is pointing toward Houston. We'll train down at U of H sometime. And I would talk to Leroy, the head coach at the university at the time. Say, you guys come over anytime. I talked to the coaches over at Prairie View. We need an auxiliary track. You guys come over anytime. And I woke up one morning and I said, I got to call Greg. And I called Greg and I said, look, man, I'm thinking about moving the group to the ranch to Fort Worth. What do you think? He said, heck yeah, man. Come on. When you want to come? It was like October, November. And I said, we'll be there by January. He was like, let's do it. We get back to practice. I tell the group, change your plans. Forget everything I said about Houston. We're going to Dallas, Fort Worth. We're going to the ranch. Let's see how it works. And the track is there. It's beautiful. Weight room was there. And moreover, they don't mind us being there.
Yep.
As a former professional athlete, sometimes getting on the track can be challenging.
Be tough. Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't want the liability. People don't want you there. They don't know you.
Yeah.
They don't have any detail into what you're doing. So they don't want you there. So we moved here, man, in preparation for the 21 Olympics, Tokyo. And we've been here ever since. Mm-hmm. And the athletes, and I was kind of a little skittish about, are they going to really like Texas? Because, LA is robust, it's moving, it's fast.
Yeah.
But what I came to find out, even for myself, it was like everybody could appreciate slowing down.
Yeah. Everybody
could appreciate the hospitality that's here and in Texas and in Fort Worth. Yeah. And, upon my own research as we got here, everybody's welcome. You get somewhere and you tell people kind of you're not from here, and they say, well, welcome to Texas.
Yeah.
And I was telling my wife, I said, I don't remember anybody saying welcome to LA.
Yeah. No. No, it's a difference. It's a big difference.
So it's just so welcoming, man. And it was delightfully surprising and warming at the same time.
It's funny because I tell a story of when I first moved to Santa Monica, California.
Right.
This is the honest to God truth. I was going to my apartment and I was coming out. First got there, I was walking down the street. You know, here in Texas, when you see somebody, you always speak. So I'm in Santa Monica, I'm walking, I see another brother walking my way, and I'm like, "What's up, man?" And he like, and he looked at me as if like, "Man, this cat must not be from here, right?"
Do I know you?
yeah. And so I was like, "That's weird, dude didn't even speak," right? So after living there for about 7, 8, 9 years, I remember one day I'm same street, same apartment, I'm walking, and some dude like, "What's up, brother?" I'm like,
this cat ain't from here.
This cat ain't from here. I know you, man. So that's true when you say you go somewhere from LA. It's like you move somewhere and it's totally different.
Yeah.
So can you, real quick, I know people are listening and you were talking about your contractual agreements and you were talking about meets. Can you just kind of touch on that just a little bit?
Well, for the athletes that run for any particular shoe company, they have a certain amount of meets they have to run, albeit indoor or outdoor, to reach the understanding of their contract. For some contracts it may be 10 meets.
Yeah.
For some contracts it may be 15 meets.
Okay.
And then you have appearances that you may have to do for said company and etc. And so at the time, this was all when COVID hit. All these things it was kind of new territory.
Yeah.
We didn't have, and I don't think the shoe companies knew what direction they were going to go in because no one was making money in 20.
Yeah.
So, they had every right in the world to reduce your contracts.
So you're saying if you were supposed to, in your contract said you needed to run 10 meets.
Yeah.
And you didn't get 10 meets, then they could legally either reduce your contract or cut it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So we had to be mindful of that, not knowing what direction that the shoe companies were going to go.
Yeah.
They were in discussions. They didn't know what direction they were going to go because the companies weren't making any money either.
Yeah.
So it was understandable that, if a reduction comes or your contract gets cut, because many people lost their jobs during COVID because there was no money coming in or whatever. So we didn't know. So we wanted to make sure that the athletes had the best opportunity to retain their contracts by running this series of meets.
All right. What would you say is the most difficult, most challenging, honestly, the most difficult and challenging part of being a professional track and field coach as opposed to because you've done both. You coached on the collegiate level at the highest level, and now you're at the highest level on the pro level. What would you say is the most difficult, challenging?
I think two things for me. I think when dealing with athletes, it's helping them make the transition from doing it for the Frogs, doing it for the Hogs, or whatever respective team, and not letting your teammate down.
All right.
That's a big deal. I gotta train hard. I want to let my brother down.
Yeah.
I have to eat well. I don't want to let my brother down.
Yeah.
I have to race well. I don't want to let my brother down. So now you remove all that. Now you have to be able to do all those things for yourself because this is your career. This is how you're gonna earn. This is how you're gonna make your money. There's no direct deposits from scholarships and financial aid that's gonna come. However you race is however you live. Is how you provide for yourself and your family.
That's right.
So believe it or not, and you know this from being a former professional athlete. It's sometimes when you come from a big team rah-rah situation, it's tough for those athletes to make the transition to full-time doing it for themselves.
Yeah.
I think the biggest transition that the difficulties of a professional coach versus college coach is that in college, you race a lot more than you train. Yep. As a professional, you train a lot more than you race. So you may train hard from when you guys start training September to December if you're not, coaching cross. And then you race from every week from January through the national championships in June. So if you miss something in training, you can eventually get it back through the races. On the professional side, the way you train is the way you perform.
That's right.
And if you're not training well and your first performance isn't great, you don't get invited back to the other meets where you can earn the most money.
Yep.
So the athletes, they really don't understand. They think that it's like, this coach is so hard. We train so much. We don't race as much. Well, you're not racing for free anymore for the university that's taking care of you. You're racing for you. So you have to understand it. Every time you go out there on the big stage, you have to be ready. I tell the athletes all the time, I said, it's like this. Think about it like this. it's like Beyonce, if you will, prepares all year for her summer concert series. Yeah. And if in the middle of that concert series, she ends up in Dallas Fort Worth, and you pay $200 to go sit in the cheap seats to see Beyonce, and she doesn't have her best performance, would you buy more tickets to go see her in Houston? No, probably not. So the thing is, if you go out to, the first Diamond League meet in Doha and you stink it up, why should we invite you to the one in Birmingham?
That's right.
If that's an indicator, then you're not where you're supposed to be. We're not going to pay you to come and have the same performance.
But you're the NCAA champion. So shouldn't they want you to come because you won an NCAA championship?
Not a chance. It's like in track and field on the professional side. It's what have you done lately? Yeah. How hot are you right now? Yeah. You know what I mean? Where do you stack up against the folks that are in the crowd? You can only, use that I'm the Olympic champion for so long before people say, well, hey, Olympic champion, that's a nice accolade. And that was useful for the first maybe half of the season that we could have the Olympic champion in the field. But if you come in and you're in the field and you're not successful or you stink it up, you might as well be ranked the last dude in the world. They don't care. They're not inviting you, you're not getting paid.
So after you finish college, can you just tell me all the moves you had? So for instance, for me, I was in LA when I finished here. When I graduated here, I moved to Santa Monica, California. Then from there, I went to Las Vegas for 2 years. From Vegas, I went to Columbus, Ohio for a year. From Columbus, Ohio, I went to Baton Rouge for 4 years. From there, I went back to Columbus, Ohio for 5 years, and now I'm here. And that's not to mention the moves I had in each place. Because when I moved to each place, first I got a place just to stay at. Then we bought a home, right? So we moved there. So we moved probably 2 times in each spot. Can you kind of tell me all the moves you've had since leaving college?
Finished college eligibility, worked as a graduate assistant in Arkansas, took my first job with Connie Price Smith, who's now the head coach at Ole Miss University, at Southern Illinois University, her alma mater in Carbondale, Illinois. Got some great experience there. Spent about 3.5 seasons there. Left there in December. Took a job at Virginia Tech. Who was just joining the ACC at the time, moved to Blacksburg, Virginia, which is probably one of the coldest places I've ever lived. You lived in Ohio, so you feel me. Went from there to level up to be associate head coach with Dave Chanelli as the director of track and field, and got an opportunity to be the head coach over at director of track and field and combine the programs at Clemson University. When I left Clemson, I just coached pros. It was my first time I really wanted to get into just like, look, after you do so much on a collegiate level, you always ask yourself, like, what's next? My goal was always to be a professional coach. Right. I always looked up to guys like John Smith and Bobby Kersey, and I wanted to be able to do some of the things that they did and be, in the same category and mentioning those guys. So in 2013, I stepped away from college coaching, started coaching pros, full time. That was the first year we had my first world champion, Brian Rollins, in the Moscow World Championships in the high hurdles, and stayed in South Carolina area for a little bit. And I was like, we want to really grow this thing. I think I got to go somewhere where it's really popping. Not South Carolina was nice, but we want kids to go to school. When they go to college at a directional place, at least, TCU is in the metroplex.
Yeah, just say it.
There's some things going on here. Yeah. I mean, there was nothing going on in Clemson, South Carolina. So it was hard for me to attract some of the best athletes in the world and say you're going to be in Clemson, South Carolina. They're young. They want to have a social life. They want to be able to move around. The nearest airport was Charlotte or Atlanta. Yeah. Unless you're flying like Greenville, that was a regional airport. But you a lot of hops to get overseas. So I told my wife, I said, I want to go to California and do this in California. She was like, my wife is a country girl. She's from Arkansas. She was like, California? And that was kind of intimidating to her at the time. And then I was like, listen, sweetie, we can get it done. I know we can get it done. Let's do it. So we packed our bags.
Man, you got it good, man. Yeah. You told your wife. You didn't ask. See, most of us, we like, I went and asked my wife, and you were like, I told her.
But you know what? You know, it was one of those things where she, as a coach's wife, it was one of those things where I've, dragged her all around the United States.
And that's what I'm getting to. That's why I want you to name all these places.
And she just really believed in my vision and what we want to do with it.
All right.
And it was intimidating, right? Her going to school in Arkansas, living in Carbondale, living in, Virginia, but, say Los Angeles, major city, it was kind of daunting to her. But she said, listen, if you think that that's what's going to set us up for the best, let's do it. So went out there. I probably went out there 6 months ahead of them.
Okay.
To kind of get everything established.
So hold on, them.
The family. Just the family. The athletes.
Okay, but so when you say, so your wife and how many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids. Yeah.
Boys or girls?
2 boys. My oldest is Lawrence Jr. My youngest boy, he's a senior in high school at Brewer over here. He's 17, it's Lucas. And my daughter is a freshman at Texas State.
Okay, cool.
That's Lanaya. And they were very young at the time.
Okay.
My son was just starting high school.
Okay.
So that means uproot him from high school and go. And so she was like, well, let's do it. I said, I'll strike out 6 months ahead of you guys. I'll get everything set up. So when you come, it'll be good, nice and ready to go. During the time, I took a job over at Cal State Northridge.
Okay.
And, people always, like, it's a Division I school, small Division I school, would be probably considered mid-major to major sports. Yep. And people often ask me, like, well, why would you take a job at Cal State Northridge? And I was like, well, if I took the job and was this assistant sprint coach over there, I could use a track.
Yeah.
I could use a track. It wouldn't cost me a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
And I always loved working with college student athletes.
Right.
It's still a passion of mine, just teaching.
Yeah.
I considered myself a teacher during the week, and I coach on the weekends, if you will. So I enjoyed it while I was doing it. So that was our training base in Northridge, and the athletes kind of converged on, and we were able to start attracting some of the better athletes. We probably moved out there with 3 athletes and ended up with maybe 10 or 12 athletes in the group, and all of them, performing on the world level. And so, I stayed out there as a coach almost a decade, the longest I've ever been anywhere.
Okay.
I stayed in Clemson maybe 5 years, in Virginia maybe 3 years, in Carbondale, Illinois maybe 3 years, and so California I really still considered kind of more homey to me because I was there for a long time and got pretty good roots there, and I went to school there in the late '90s in Long Beach City, so I'm really familiar with California. So it felt California feels like home to me, but Texas feels like where my heart is.
Yeah. So where did you guys live at when you was in California?
Right in Northridge.
Y'all say the Northridge.
Right in Northridge.
Oh my goodness.
You know what's so crazy is that I'm such a track head, right? So here's the university right on Nordhoff Street. Yeah. The university's here. We lived in a house across the street from the university.
How was that?
It was great. For me, I didn't have a far commute.
Yeah.
Because I spent so much time at the track. And I was telling my wife, she was like, well, what, you sure you want to live here? There's a lot of students around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a city. In Northridge is a commuter school.
I know. That's why I asked.
So everybody, they go back to LA at night and whatever. So it was just, I needed to be somewhere close to the track.
Okay.
And I live 3 miles from the ranch.
Do you?
At this point.
Are you in Lee, or what city is it?
White Settlement.
You White Settlement?
Yeah. I don't know, and I don't know anything about White Settlement. I don't. I got
you look me on film.
Yeah. I got some good neighbors, and the grocery store and everything is there.
Yeah.
The kids like the high school or whatever they went to.
When I was a kid, this was all different,
right?
So it's interesting when I see someone come from somewhere else and they live,
and we just blindly jump in.
Yeah, you jump right
whatever.
in. So
I just knew it was close to the ranch.
Yeah, so
that's all I needed.
So you've had all these stops. How was that? Because like you and your wife been together since she was in Arkansas.
Yeah, we just celebrated 23 years of marriage.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And same with myself, my wife and I, we met each other here at TCU.
Wow.
And we met in 94, 95, and we started dating in 96. and we've been married since 2004. So we've been 20 some years also.
Yeah.
But man, like with all that travel and moving and things, and how tough the collegiate coaching and professional coaching can be, how have you guys managed to keep it together? Honestly,
I think that, you know what, and you know, as in any marriage, there's always some parts where it's like, you know, she's looking at me and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, I don't know. And but I think that the belief that we have in one another, and the faith that, you know, we have in one another, it trumps any of the proverbial hurdles that may come in the way.
So, but you're in. So just to be clear, as a professional athlete, a professional coach, sometimes we're over in Europe, maybe Asia, maybe Russia, maybe wherever, Brazil, a month at a time. Maybe 2 months at a time. So how did you guys, how because you're still in that realm, how have you guys navigated that? Because your kids are older now, and like you said, you moved and all those types of things. How did y'all work that out?
I think that she's so accustomed to it, because before we were married, I was coaching.
Okay, I see.
And I think she's always been accustomed to being a coach's wife.
Okay.
And so we've kind of grown as a couple and as parents in it. And sometimes, you know, you go for the NC2A meet, you're gone close to 7 to 10 days. And I think for her, she just became accustomed to that. So I just got back from Europe. I was probably gone a good 5 weeks. And so the running around with the kids and getting them ready for college or the different activities has always kept her busy. And so, you know, it's like an old partnership. It's like, you know, we don't have to touch bases, you know, 12 times a day, but my job is to call her in the morning.
That's right.
And call her before I go to bed and let her know how the day was cool and everything is going great. And that's all she wants to know. And I call in, check in with her and the kids. And I tell you what, it makes it a little easier today with the advent of FaceTime and you know, when you were running, at best you had Skype if you had a good Wi-Fi connection or whatever. But you know, FaceTime and modern technology has been able to, you know, really make it easier to stay connected as a family.
They can check in on you really good now.
Oh yeah.
Can stay FaceTime and circle the room and go in the closet.
My wife don't know how to use the regular phone. Everything's FaceTime. Everything's FaceTime. Are you on your way home? I used to say, are you on your way home? Yeah, I'm sitting there watching the game. Yeah, I'm on my way, sweetie. I'm home to see FaceTime. I thought you were on your way home.
Yeah. You know the old Martin special when he was talking about, I'm driving the car. I'm driving down the street. I'm parking the car. I'm getting out. How you know? You know,
he just chilling watching the game. Yeah.
So, favorite meet in the world you've been to?
Oh, in the world.
Yeah.
Favorite meet in the world.
I'll tell you, for me, of course, Zurich is pretty amazing. For some odd reason, I always liked Brussels. I always thought, you know, I don't know what it was. I liked the city, you know, and all the meets was amazing. Paris was good, Zurich was good, you know, Berlin. All these meets were really, really nice. Lausanne, I mean, all of them. But for some odd reason, I mean, I'm a big sweets fan, so you know the Belgian waffles was already there. But I like the Belgian. I mean, Brussels is a big meet, a lot of people there, very friendly, very safe, great organization, nice hotel, just everything you needed.
Brussels is a good meet. We just left there, and it was a good setup. They done a nice job in the back. It's probably been a year since you've been there. The stadium is amazing. You could walk to the stadium from the thing. I really like Lausanne.
Lausanne, okay.
I really like Lausanne. As fact, one of my deals was every year that I go there, if they want the athletes to come over, I says, yeah, we'll come, but I need something from you guys. And they're like, okay, coach, what do you need? They think it's money or whatever. I said, I need a Lausanne polo. Like the workers live with a Nike polo. It's kind of like this, but it has Lausanne on it. I just love it. So I have one. And every time I go to a meet, I just wear a different one that I've gotten from them, as I just love to go to that meet. That's a big meet that I love to go to. A small meet that I love, I don't know if you ran this meet. I don't know if it even existed when you were racing. But in Padua.
That's one of my favorites.
I love Padua.
Me too, man.
This meet is a small scale meet, but it packs a lot of punch. It's a Nike sponsored meet. John Paulo is the guy that runs the meet. They do an amazing job. I mean, it's no big thrills and frills. The hotel is not like amazing, but it's good.
Good food.
The food is good. They make the food there every day.
Yep.
The same guy that's the maitre d' has been every day. The front desk people are the same.
They got some good shopping.
They
there,
remember
man.
the shopping is crazy around
It's
the corner.
crazy.
You could spend. Shakari was over there. Her first year over there was year before last, right? And she goes down. So just all the designers are down there. She comes back within, I don't know, 30 minutes, and she probably spent, I don't know, $30,000.
Shopping is amazing.
Easily.
And then you can hop on the train, and an hour away is Venice.
That's what the athletes did. So we gave them a day off. So they was like, Coach, we got the day off, and they got the day off. They shot down to Venice.
Man.
And they made a day of it. So Padua, Lausanne, big scale meet. Small scale European meet, the money's decent. It's not great.
Yeah.
Padua, Italy, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I love that meet.
I did. And it's funny because back then when I would go, I didn't necessarily have the funds to really shop.
Exactly.
So I did the window shopping. Yeah. So I go by
every day you walk down there.
All this stuff is nice. And you're tempted because you go to the meet, especially in Europe, and if you win and do well, break a record, whatever,
I got extra money.
You got a little money, right?
Yeah.
And so you're tempted to be like, well, I just ran for 2 minutes or ran for 30 seconds. This thing is 20,000.
I deserve those
$900
shoes.
If you go to Switzerland, the watch would be, you have a nice watch, it'll be $2,000, $5,000. You thinking like, but then you got to catch yourself.
Yeah, like I need to pay my mortgage when I get home.
Mortgage bills.
Exactly.
Highest bill, because you've been going over for a while before how things are now. What was the highest phone bill you had? Cell phone bill?
$1,500, maybe somewhere in there.
Yeah,
in that
I know.
range.
I know some cats that would go over, and they'll be in the 2,000.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Easy. Before you get that, now you go over. It's just a $10 a day additional charge. For international stuff. But yeah, man, no, like we used to get taxed on a phone call.
But that's the thing, being smart, because people have to understand that as a professional athlete, you're self-employed for the most part, right?
100%.
So you can write all that stuff off.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But you better, I tell them, you better pay your taxes. You better report that stuff. A lot of people.
That is where you can get, as a professional athlete, especially in track and field, where you don't think that you may necessarily need an accountant or someone helping you out. Man, you have to pay attention to your spendings, and you have to make sure that you are paying those taxes.
Yeah.
That I've seen many of athletes have fantastic careers and go 5 and 6 years without taking care of their responsibilities, and they get hit with this big IRS tax bill that replenishes their savings and things. So you're right. As an independent contractor, you have to pay close attention to those things.
So who would you maybe not say it, but what would you say that's a surprise characteristic that the top athletes have? I always say, when people ask me, I say when I was at the Olympic Games, both Olympic Games, I would sit back and I would just look and I would ask myself, what makes them so different than everyone else? It wasn't because they were so talented. It wasn't because they were so tall or strong or fast. It wasn't because they was rich or their parents, because everyone has gone through something. Everyone there has a story. And everyone there had people that doubted them, and everyone there had setbacks and failures, and everyone there knew somebody that probably in elementary, middle, or high school that was better than them or had this more potential. But the difference I found was that the people that was there was people that when they had their failures and setbacks, for some odd reason, they didn't fold. They said, I'm gonna keep going forward. When one of their parents died or their grandparents, whatever, instead of them totally going, it ain't meant for me, or somebody had it better, or whatever, they kept going forward. What I guess characteristic or attribute that you've seen that you go like, most people might not know this, you like, but this is what it is?
I think that's a fantastic observation, and I think that from the great ones, from Carl Lewis to the new Jack, to Usain Bolt, to some of the Justin Gatlin, to Allison Felix, etc., I think it's a relentless focus and determination of meeting goals that will not derail them, whether that's family issues, maybe spousal issues, world issues.
But wouldn't you say you've had, when you coached at Clemson or Virginia Tech, did you ever have like two athletes that were in the same event, and maybe this one you was thinking, man, this person should be like, they have all the the goods.
Yeah.
And they should be better, but this one's better. What was that? I mean, like,
it was really, yes, I did. And they both made Olympic teams. And one of them, the one that you would have thought got the medal was not the one who got the medal.
And what I'm trying to, and I guess the question I'm having is for the general public or some high school kid, what is that though? Because you can do everything right. Like, right, especially in track and field, you can do everything right. You can eat right, sleep right, train hard, the whole nine. So what are you finding as you go from university to university to the pros and you get these out? Because everybody's good, right? Once you're on the pro level, most of them, all NCAA champions are really, really good. What is that it?
I think that the it for me, I think it's twofold. I think that the one characteristic that you find in those sort of athletes is their ability to focus on their craftsmanship. So whether it's a recovery day or whether it's a Monday or Tuesday where you got to hit it hard, they show up with the same toolbox every day. If you say it's a recovery day, most athletes will come and they will give you less than recovery effort.
Got it. Yeah.
But these athletes, they will recover like it's the hardest workout they had all year.
Got it.
They will do the things that they need to do to recover their body to get to the next workout. And I think it's and the other piece of it is the unyielding determination that when they set a goal, they're going to meet it, despite if there's one person in the stand or 1 million people in the stands. Yeah. And I think that those people don't come around often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people that get exposed when they are in the mix of other competitors or when those flash bulbs go off in the stands or when they call their name, the insecurities and the doubt kick in. Yeah. And those other people, it's another day at training because this is how I prepare every day. I show up with this same mental mindset every day. The light is either on or I'm asleep.
So, question. So, a couple of years you were at Clemson. You guys were top 3 teams, which means at some point you figured it out or you caught on. What was that? What was it? What was it that you figured out that when you was at Southern Illinois or Virginia Tech, whatever it may be, that you kind of finally figured out that this is the formula, this is what it takes? What was that?
I think it's really galvanizing all the men and women and on their particular team to, I think, helping them galvanize together as one unit and flowing from that. Not saying, well, I hope I do well, and I don't care how Khadevis does. Yeah. That pulling each other up in training, being accountable for each other in training, and not letting your friend slack off and have a bad day. Okay. You know, my college coach was John McDonald, rest his soul, and Coach McDonald always said that, you know, son, I said, Coach, you know, give me the best, you know, I'm going out here to Southern Illinois University, Coach, and you know, what's the best piece of, you know, coaching advice you could give me? And he said, well, never let your donkeys graze in the same pasture as your quarter horses.
What?
Because your quarter horses will start behaving like donkeys.
Okay, so repeat that.
So in other words, what he was saying is that if you have somebody, everybody on a given team, they're friends. And so if you're my friend and I may be a better athlete than you and you're slacking off and you're my friend, it's allowable because we're friends and I don't want any friction with you to allow you to slack off as long as I'm doing my piece. As long as I'm doing my job, Coach, I'm doing my job, that guy's slacking off. Yeah. But when you can get a unit that doesn't allow anybody to slack off because that's not the identity of the group,
got it,
then everybody will be watching in the same direction. But how do you
not allow the donkeys to graze in the same pastures as the quarter horse?
I would eliminate them.
What you mean?
You couldn't be, if your talent level didn't have to be as good as a Khadevis's. Mm-hmm. That wasn't a requirement. Okay. But your effort level had to match Khadevis's.
But what would you say? And I'm getting deep into some questions now. But what would you say when you say, okay, could you rephrase eliminate? You say you eliminate. What do you?
Well, if you cannot match the same effort level, although Khadevis is more talented than you, let's put that aside. Mm-hmm. if you can't match his work level, then you can't be here.
Be here as
part of the team.
Part of the team.
This is not intramural.
So what exactly? So what would you do now? Games change in different universities, different schools, different rules and regulations. What would you do if you could not release him from the team?
Well, for me, in the state of college athletics today, I would tell my coaches, listen, if you recruit them, you're stuck with them.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you recruit them and you're stuck with them, and then you can't come to my office and make noise about this athlete's doing this and this athlete's doing that, because now, at one point during the recruiting process, you were your own GM.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to figure out everything
about
you could figure about this kid.
Yep.
Did you talk to the coaches?
Mm-hmm.
The coach is going to say something favorable,
Yep.
right? Mom and dad is going to say something favorable. Did you step to the homeroom teacher while you were at the high school and ask about this person?
So let me piggyback on what if you didn't recruit him?
If you didn't recruit him, then it's your job as a teacher to help cultivate the culture that you want on the team. Because sometimes they may not know what the culture is. Maybe the other culture was they could be lackadaisical and not accountable. So you have to cultivate the culture that you want within your group.
What I was trying to do. I'm trying to get you in this spot. You said you would get them away from the team. I'm trying to say, what if you couldn't? What if you couldn't get them away from the team and now they're grazing? These donkeys are grazing with your quarter horse.
Yeah.
What do you do? I'm asking the question.
No. I think that at a certain point is that if the team is moving in one direction and they're not meeting the standard of where the team is going, there's 85 scholarships on the men's college football team, and they probably have another 25 guys or 30 guys that are walk-on guys. There is nothing that says to me as a coach that I have to take you to the Mount Sac relays.
Okay, there you go. So you're saying,
because the standards for these meets that we have these days says that if the standard is 12 flat for the 100 meters, you're a 100-meter person, and I've taken you to.
So you're not going to travel.
No, you can't go because you're not going to meet the standard.
That's fine. But they're still grazing though.
Yeah, no. Your practice is at 3:00.
Oh, but then see, and I'm getting real.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think coach is treating me fair, because why does coach have me separated from the other team?
Well, it's not separating. It's putting you in this. I'm separating you because I want to give you a little bit more individual attention.
Okay.
You need a little bit more of my attention. So when the big group is out there, they have my focus. So it's tough for me to really just focus on you and cultivating that kind of getting you to where I need you to be. So you come at 3:00, and it's going to be you and I spending some time together. And most of the time, it's just not one individual.
No, I know.
You may have 4 or 5 people that are trying to meet the standard of the A group.
Right.
So we go this is your A group.
Yeah.
You're A group here.
All right.
So because if you were all together as A group, there's a B group.
Yeah. Got it.
Because they separating groups.
Yeah.
Right. So this group has to meet this time standard. This group has to meet. So you got 2 groups anyway.
Okay.
So now I just made 2 A groups.
Okay. So I'm gonna pivot a little bit. So your brother's at University of Arkansas.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, and he's head coach in Waiting. Maybe.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So hell of a coach, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Who's the oldest?
I am. Okay. Most people think that he is because he's a little size. He got a little bit more size than I do. But I'm big bro.
Okay. How many?
Maybe 10, 11 months, something like this.
11 months.
Yeah. All my brother, all of us about maybe a year, maybe anywhere from 11 to a year apart. My mother she was dead set on having a girl. She tried 5 times and got 5 boys.
Oh my goodness.
And we're all about a year apart. So he's right up underneath me.
Right. And you are which?
I'm number 3.
So you have 2 older brothers.
2 older brothers.
And then 1 under Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But really good coach. You're a really good coach. Y'all coach the same events.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you guys get the same athlete, the same identical athlete, who coaches them to make them the best?
In all honesty, right? I think that a large part of, Chris being a collegiate coach and a successful one, came based on because that's what Big Bro was doing.
Okay.
He's his own man. He makes his own choices, and he's a good coach in his own right. But I like to think that, that I was a big responsibility, and the leadership that I had with him being big bro really impacted him being, because when I left Arkansas, he was in Texas coaching football and basketball and coaching track, right? And I left Arkansas and I said, hey, you need to come here and go to graduate school. I got this assistantship that I can't take advantage of. I'm take this job, come do it. And he left the high school ranks and came to grad school and went to Penn State, and the rest is history. But I like to think that if we had an athlete that was identical, I like to think that if I did everything that I was supposed to do as a big brother, that he would have a sizable advantage over me, because hopefully I've given him enough game in his own experience to be a little bit better than I do.
So you saying, I'm trying to talk to you saying, if y'all coach, he'll get you.
I don't think so. But I don't think so. But I think it'd be really close in a lot of areas. I think, on this level, I think experience matters, right? Yeah. And I have a little bit more time to do some things that he didn't have time to do. But as a big brother, I think I.
So who would you say is the top? And I know you got to go by areas, but top coach in the world.
In the world. Because
when you came up, there had to be coaches that.
Oh, Bobby! In my mind, Bobby Kersey was. Yeah. Bobby Kersey was 1A, was 1 and 1A. Yeah. In my world, so, and I had a lot of respect for Joe Douglas at the time too. Yeah. By the way, I don't think Joe Douglas gets enough credit.
What it is.
For whatever reason.
It is what it is.
I think he's a hell of a businessman too. By the way,
well, that's even known on a whole nother level.
So so I'm a real track guy. So I like these things. I know. Yeah. I think the best coach in the world right now today is Stephen Francis, Jamaica. And
you might have some people that don't know who he is or who he is.
Stephen Francis was the former head boss of MVP Track Club. Right. MVP Track Club still exists. It's run by his brother, Paul Francis. Okay. And now,
but why would you say Steve? Why would you say
because
him?
There for over a decade or more, he has been responsible for the 100-meter champion of the world, the women's 100. Now, this is his lineup, right?
I already know.
Shelly Ann Frazier.
Yeah.
Elaine Thompson-Herrera. Yeah. Sharika Jackson is part of part of MVP Track Club.
Okay, so here's the next question, and what is that?
In terms of,
does he know something we don't know?
I think. Well, here's the thing. I think what most people don't understand about Stephen Francis is that he's a Michigan man.
I know that. Yeah.
He's one of the smartest, most intelligent dudes you'll ever talk to about anything.
Okay.
You name it.
Okay.
World politics,
right.
Computers, board games,
okay.
Computer games. Yeah. One of the most intelligent people, most well-read people.
All right.
That, it's almost as it's when you talk to a guy like this and you really get in the weeds with him, you become embarrassed. It's like, I need to do more.
You know what's funny? I'm gonna tell you something. I was talking to Sean Worthing, who's the academic advisor at TCU. He was talking about when he was here at TCU, he was pretty good, and he ended up going to the pros to play sports, football. And he said, Tony Randall, Johnny, I get his, John Randall, one of the greatest defensive linemen of all time for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he said he would do some stuff. He said when he first got there, he saw Randall. He said he would do some stuff that Sean knew, like, I just can't do that. And he said he would bring it every single day.
Yeah.
And he was just like,
that relentless determination.
Yeah, he said he just God just has something I don't have and I'll never have it. He talked about how he could grab a Coke can and just pow with his hands. And he talked about how, he said, because I asked him, I said, we all work hard, right? And I was like, if you see that he come to practice and work hard every day, why don't you just work hard every day? He said, yeah, but you ain't getting it. Yeah. He said, I do work hard every day. But he said, that guy's level, he said, the level he's at, he's doing it like that every single, I said, you saw it, John. He said, I saw it with my own eyes.
His bad day is my very best day.
Yeah. So it's amazing, I think, when we start seeing people like that. you've had some pretty good everything, but let's just use 100 hurdlers or 400 hurdlers. Have you just noticed that within one or two and go like, damn, like they both just almost just as good, but this one has this that's just crazy.
Yeah. You could see it. You can see it that, you know, whether you're coaching them or you're not coaching them, but if you've trained your eyes to kind of determine, you know, these different things, you could see it right away. Like, that one's special.
You know, I used to, and I don't know, I remember watching, and nobody knew I did this. I remember I was in a meet somewhere and I was watching Bobby. I tell everybody this story. It's a funny story. So I just wanted to know, like, this dude and coach, all these people that are doing well, and I'm watching Allison. It was a long time ago, and she's sitting down quiet, but it's before the meet. You know, Allison is nice and as sweet as you can be, and she's quiet, but she's pretty fierce when it's time to compete. Sure. Right? So she's sitting down by herself doing her thing, and I'm watching Bobby, and he's just walking. He's walking in the circle, and when he get ready to go past her, he just claps. That's it. As he walks past, you look at her, he just keep walking. He walks back, and he goes, and he says something in her. I don't know what he's saying. He says something in her ear, and he claps again, and he walks. Right. What I'm saying is, it's amazing on how different coaches do different things to get their athletes going. Yeah. Have you found, because some athletes you can squeeze on, man. You can push on, you can squeeze on, and some they'll break. Yeah. Have you found that there's a secret? Have you found that you have more success when you squeeze on athletes, or you pull away from them a little bit and let them think on their own?
No, my approach is to apply pressure at every stop sign, if you will. Like, because in what we do, there's no more pressure than having to go out and be in your 48-inch lane and have to perform. That's pressure. Mm-hmm. So why am I letting you off the hook and making you think that it's jelly beans and ice cream when it's not? It's track and field is one of the hardest sports to do. Okay. Because you give up so much of yourself, the sacrifice and your nutrition and your in the weight room and on the track and you know, the mental training that goes apart. That's the pressure is mental training for me. And I think that if you, this is what I see in athletes today. And coaches, we often sit back and we talk about these things. It's like athletes shy away from the very things that they need. Mm-hmm. So if they say, you know, it's Coach Khadevis now, he's tough. Mm-hmm. He's tough. Mm-hmm. He is very goal focused and oriented, and he's going to push you. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to him, if you do the things he's telling you, you're going to be good, because he can help you to be good because he's that focused. Mm-hmm. And most athletes these days, like, yep, you know, man, I'm not really with that. Yeah, exactly. You know, I don't really need somebody like, you know, standing over me and like, I don't want to work out. One hard workout a week ought to be good enough for me. I don't really want to, you know, because in high school, you know, I was, you know,
exactly. I could just, that's how I go. Yeah.
You know, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to do that. They want you to coach to their level. Exactly. Instead of them meeting the standard.
I've never, and I mean, I've coached some national champs, some people do some. I've never found one that worked for.
Never.
Every athlete that I've known and coached and worked around and been around that have been good have been athletes that was ready for the challenge. And they might not have started that way. Yeah. But eventually but not the ones that was shying away from the challenge, not the ones that's making excuses, not the ones that keep talking about what they did in middle school or whatever situation may be. Yeah. So what would you say?
If athletes will describe me, I think that they would say, you know, I don't have a plethora of, you know, army of 25 athletes or anything like that, because what the athletes will say, my athletes might say, Jody Bob might say, well, my coach is crazy. Yeah.
So you're saying, if somebody was asked the Olympic champion come wait, how is Boogie, how's long, when they would say you crazy?
They say, my coach is crazy. But what the athletes, they don't realize is that what they misinterpret what they're saying. Mm-hmm. you say crazy, anybody's like, oh, I'm not going over there if that cat is crazy. But what the athletes are saying, they're saying that affectionately.
Yeah.
They're saying, my coach is crazy about me.
Mm-hmm.
My coach is crazy about my future.
Mm-hmm.
My coach is crazy about challenging me to get to where I want to be. My coach is crazy about making sure that I have the sort of career that I can look back on and make sure that I'm okay. Whether I want to go work a square job or do philanthropic work or, or work with, the youth or the elderly, whatever.
Yeah.
My coach is crazy about that.
Yeah.
They hear the word crazy and they think you're some type of lunatic that's coming up with some ridiculous workouts that don't lead to anything. But crazy is they call Albert Einstein, he's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Tiger Woods, for the amount of time this kid, his father's crazy.
Yep.
He got his kid out there playing, he could be playing video, he's crazy. Serena Williams' father, he's crazy.
Yeah, they are crazy.
Nick Saban, he's crazy.
That's right. Nick Saban said something about coaching that one of my close friends told me. He said, Nick Saban said, you either coaching it or you're allowing it.
100%.
You either coaching it or you're allowing it.
100%.
So I like that phrase. I think when we all look back, when you look back from when you was a kid and you look at the journey you've taken, the mistakes you've made, the successes you've had, and you landed up here. And I look back and I get chills to think that I'm here in Fort Worth, Texas, here at TCU, but more so just being here in this space, in a great area, DFW area, the whole nine, still with the same woman, lady. We've gone through the ups and downs, the sideways and all that type of stuff.
Sure.
Still healthy. I've had a lot of friends that I see them and I'm thinking, man, are you all right? And still able to move around, still able to be passionate about what I'm doing. Not to say I ain't had some setbacks, not to say I ain't made some huge mistakes.
Sure. And
God's not finished with me yet. If you had to, is there anything in the past that if you could do it again, not to say it was a regret, I'm not saying it's a regret, but because you got more knowledge now than you had then, is there anything you would do a little bit differently?
You know what? I was a head coach when I was 31, 32 years old, like of a major program in the ACC, a very successful program in the ACC. And I think we won 8 ACC championships and we were rolling, had great athletes. And I think that as a young coach, right, some of the and where I'm from, right, I'm from, a tough neighborhood, right? And you go to college and you have to be tough because you don't come from much. And you compete with that same chip on your shoulder because you don't come from much. And I learned all these things about coaching and the body and physiology and anatomy and et cetera, right? And I know how to be a great coach. And I know how to bring people together. But nobody ever taught me or taught me how to stop fighting.
Meaning?
How to stop being confrontational when a conversation would have been more appropriate.
Yeah.
I was a coach all the time.
Okay.
And when you're a coach all the time, you do things like a coach. So your tone, your pitch, your facial expressions, your body language is always aggressive. It's always confrontational. It's always you hold people to the highest standard, like you hold your athletes. But
hold on though. So because this is a very tight rope because I'm the same.
Yeah.
And I'm very expressing it. And now I've learned to tell people, listen, I'm expressing it. I'm not upset. I can go back and forth. I like it. I like you just give it to me straight.
Sure.
I can take it. I'm expressing. I'm not upset. But when I've done my studying of the top performers, most of them, and I don't care what the field is. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's whatever. People say I fight and I fight strong and I love strong. And it's like, so why is it is that something you would really want to change though? What I'm saying is Kobe that's where he was at.
Sure.
I guess what I'm saying is some people, when it comes to sports, they're high level, they're all world, they're superstars. When it comes to their family, their relationships, they're average. Sure. And the reason they're average is because they don't bring the same intensity, the same mindset, the same whatever to other parts of their lives.
Yes, But in the same line of thinking, right? You have that skill set that makes you great as a coach. The requirement to be a great administrator is different.
Okay.
Because as an administrator, as a head coach, now you are an administrator. Whether you realize that yet or not, you are an administrator. And so my job, no one taught me how to be a great administrator.
Okay.
So I took the same skill set that I had as a coach and I applied it to administration. That rubs some people in the wrong way.
Okay.
And when you're climbing the ladder, then you could, those same people that you rub the wrong way are doing, those are the same people you need to do different jobs for you, but they become resentful of you because they don't understand you. You know what I mean? I would not want to meet, I couldn't form an impression of Nick Saban, if you will, at a football game.
Okay.
And I walk up to him and LSU, he's playing LSU, Alabama versus LSU, and I go up on, I got a sideline pass, and I come, Coach Saban, I really look up to you, and he blows me off, and then I can't believe he's such a jerk. Coach Saban is a jerk. I don't know. No, he's in coach's mode. So the best advice I could even give you as a new head coach, when you're out on the track, you could be Coach Khadevis, the coach, the former athlete, fire and brimstone, passion, expressive. When you're sitting behind your desk, you're an administrator. You are a businessman. Your job is to bring relationships together. Your job is to help people coexist. So from the operations persons to the administrative assistants to the admin, upper admin, they always have to know that you have a plan and you have a control plan, and your emotions, right, to do well doesn't blind you as an administrator, because now you are a figurehead to the university. And in any situation, right, whether someone cuts you off at the red light, someone, you know, says something nasty to your family at dinner, you are always an administrator. And me as a young coach, I was always, as a coach, I'm a worker. You're not going to outwork me. I'm a fighter. I confront bad behavior. I confront laziness. We are sharp. We are on point. When we get to the meet, we're sharp and we're on point because we make it a point to be that sort of person. I've had to learn now as the administrator of Vertical Mechanic in my program that when I'm not on the track and in the field, that when I'm conducting business on behalf of Vertical Mechanic, this is my brand, and working with our sponsors, I have to be an administrator. And I have to understand where they're at. They're administrators. So that means customer service. So they may feel a way, but they may be carrying the company water in another way. And I have to find a way to bridge the gap. So as a 32-year-old head coach, fire and brimstone, winning, kicking butt, no one ever taught me how to stop fighting.
But if you're winning, you say at some point even winning ain't gonna be enough.
Winning won't be enough if people don't want to. If people are think you're confrontational or unapproachable, then people stop working for you. They start working for you, even if it's their job. For real. Even if it's their job, they won't go out of their way to help you, even if you're successful.
So you had, I mean, because some people, if you're from where you're from, and from, you're almost trying to say, and I'm using the wrong words, I'm saying you almost got to fake it. You always got to be a little.
No. You have to understand that being the CEO of TCU Track and Field is different than being the coach for TCU Track and Field.
And that's the advice you would give yourself.
Yeah, I would say, hey, slow down.
You're trying to win though.
Take it easy.
Okay.
They're doing their best. They're not wired like you. This is the best advice I could give you right here. Kat told me this. This is and I say this to you. You're an accomplished coach, not your first rodeo, and a stellar athlete. I used to follow your career coming up. Don't look for you in other people. Don't look for you in other people.
Yeah, man.
Because you'll always be disappointed.
Oh, I like that. I didn't jack that. That. Gotta have it.
You will always be disappointed.
Yeah, man.
Now I am I'm still that same guy when I'm on the track and in the field. But as an administrator, And there's a lot of self-talk that comes with that. Like sometimes when I get ready to, and I try not to, if something, doesn't set right with me, I always table it. Well, coach, me A, B, and C, I said, and it's not setting right and I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's table that, Khadevis.
Yeah.
And let's come back to that tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
And let's talk about it tomorrow. Yeah. Because I know that this can only go sideways from here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So people know me. They will say, if you ask 10 people out of 10, Boogie, he is like, you see him at the meet, he looks angry, he looks mad. No, I am just like your friend. Yeah. I am just so focused on the job. I'm so dialed into what we're doing that I don't see anything else.
Okay. So I want to ask this question as we start to wrap up. I've always thought that there should be more to track and field as a global sport.
Sure.
I mean, think about it. A large amount of track and field athletes, particularly in the U.S., are college educated. They got their degrees.
Sure.
It's probably one of the, if not the most diverse sport in the world, because you got, not only do you have men and women, you have athletes that can be as small as gymnasts, like distance runners that's barely 5'1" or 100 pounds, or they can be as big as shot putters that's 300 pounds.
Sure.
So you have everything, every spectrum, every event, everything's in track and field. You have amazing stories, amazing personalities, amazing minds, amazing bodies, the whole caveat. And yet it's like the sport still hasn't necessarily moved forward in the way that I think it should have, right?
Sure.
You start talking about viewership online or on TV. You start talking about the sponsorship deal. You start talking about individuals. I mean, I always say, you have an Olympic champion, and 5 years after they win the Olympics, you see they might be looking for a job. Right?
Sure.
And you're like, really? So what would you say, or what would you like to see, or where do you think the sport should be going?
I think that, Olympic sport and track and field in particular to this conversation has to, figure out a way to continue to identify itself to the masses. I think that the Diamond League setup is a great start.
Okay.
Because you have a condensed version of track and field. They offer X amount of disciplines. They're not trying to fit in 17 disciplines or 21 disciplines at one time, whereas we do on the collegiate level, it's a little different setup. I think people have the capacity and to maybe be entertained by track and field as a non-fan for maybe about an hour.
Okay.
So, and you have to give them something that's not theatrical. I don't think you start adding in, the 40-yard dashes or you don't have to have football players coming out to sell the thing. I think that track and field is a good enough product to stand on its own.
Okay.
But I think it's the way you package it and the way you bring it. Now, you have to package it in a way that it's very professional and it's aesthetically pleasing to viewers, right? You can't have no jacked up camera that's going all over here. You can't have people that are trying to break into the business being the lead commentators, because those commentators, that's their job to teach the fans at large what's going on.
Got it.
And so if these people are just trying to learn how to be commentators and their job is to teach somebody what's going on, it's just too big of a job for them.
Okay.
So the way we package it, the way we do it, I think that easily for professional runners, former professional runners like you, they should take the time to really stop and form some type of union for you guys, young and old, that gives you some type of retirement, pension, benefits for when you get 65 for your service as one of the best as Team USA member, right? Those things can easily be done if you come together, but it's so easy to separate us because people are just worried about their own end and surviving another day, and they don't want to get not invited to whatever place and earn a few dollars. But I think that if we stop and do what's best for everybody, then those athletes that are some of the best that we've ever seen in the world will have a fulfilling life. That I think that U.S. championships every year, that those athletes should be welcomed there. They should have their own seats. They should have, they should be recognized and things like that, just like the other sports do. They bring back this, and I think this is Nike's 50th year in doing business, right? And so they have their special way of, they brought all the Nike athletes back to the Portland campus and done a big thing for them this summer to honor that you've been with us. You started with us. Some of those athletes started with Nike, and some of those athletes are with Nike now. LeBron James, etc. They're all there honoring them, and I think that it's important that we honor, folks from Team USA, and they should have a lifetime membership. Just small things to just say, you know what, I was appreciated for my contribution.
The small cracks become big cracks. I think one of the things I thought was unique, and that's why I started out with the question of why here in Fort Worth, and you gave us some, you gave me some good answers, and that's the one thing I think when you start talking about the characteristics that a student athlete or an athlete should have, those are the type of student athletes we're looking for. But as we navigate this space, I do think that environment is important. I think you can have the best athletes and you can be the best coach, but you have to, like you said, you have to build the culture, you have to build the environment. And the one thing that I like about being home, I can feel that everything's in place here. So it's time for me to do my job, right? And now it's time for me, as you said, as an administrator, to put the people together. But the thing I feel really confident about, I think that the pieces, the support group, like, yourself, and like, I don't know everything, and the coaches, but we can reach out to other coaches, like you said you did. Like you said, we can reach out to find that information and use our support group around Fort Worth in the city to continue to get better. But my idea is not just to make sure that TCU as a team is really good and great. We want that. We all want that. But I truly believe that the sport of track and field and cross country is one that's rewarding. Look what it has done for us. I'm from the south side of Fort Worth. You're from part of Houston Prairie, and you've been all over the world. Literally all over the world with some of the. Who would have known? Raised by your grandparents. In a small little area, and you've been everywhere. So I always tell people the opportunity that track and field has afforded me and afforded us to be some of the people that's respected all over the world. You couldn't write it in a book. You couldn't predict it. And now it's our jobs to share that information. So I thank you for being here, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again.
Before you said, I think that, let me say this about TCU, as I've been here for maybe about a year and some change. And I think that the one thing that I can appreciate about Fort Worth and TCU is that people in Fort Worth are proud to be from Fort Worth. And they will tell you, you from DFW, not from Fort Worth. Like, my buddy, he's from Dallas. I'm from Fort Worth. And they're very proud of that. And TCU is a very proud university. And it's, you know what, I've been to a lot of universities, around a lot of universities, and the alumni base here, just from my own experience, right? They really support.
They do.
One another. And that's a big deal. Like, just being an alumnus of TCU is a big deal.
It is.
And people take care of each other. It's a common understanding. It's an outlook. It's a genuine love that is kind of dissipated, for TCU folk, and it's kind of it's a beautiful thing. It's a small college, with a big feel, right? And I think that TCU knows who they are, and I don't think they deviate from that. And the great thing about you being here, and I'm excited for you as the head coach and leader of these programs, is that you understand what it is to be from Fort Worth. You understand the people here. You understand the culture. You understand what success looks like. You've seen it as yourself and as a coach at other universities. And what an opportunity that you have here to, build something that's going to be supported by the TCU community at large and et cetera. I look at, the football programs that are doing well here and the basketball programs that are doing well here, and all the other sporting teams that are doing well. And I've seen so many different moves that this administration and athletic director has made in trying to improve the athletic department. What an amazing job! I've not had the opportunity to meet these good people, but I'm just I'm just a person in the community that just reading the clippings and watching the news and seeing so many great and terrific things. I think that they've done a masterful job allowing you to giving you the responsibility of being the director of their programs. I know you will do well. We're all rooting for you over here at Camp Hurdle Mechanic. And, you have 100% in our support. And there's a lot of other coaches throughout the NC2A and world there that are also rooting for you and that are resource to you and your student athletes by and large. And I couldn't be more excited about it. I think TCU knows who they are. I think you should recruit to that.
Oh, yeah.
I think you should pick your student athletes like you pick your fruit.
Yep.
And I think eventually you'll have the ones you need, the ones you want, and the ones that's going to help you be very successful.
You know what? Certain things take time, and I'm glad you said it. And I've taken away 2 takeaways. If anybody want to know what they are, the 2 takeaways I got from this conversation today is don't let your donkeys eat with your quarter horses, right? And then what was the second one? I went blank. It was a good one. Oh, don't try to find me and other people because I'll always be disappointed. So 2 takeaways for anybody from Fort Worth, DFW, anywhere, from a professional, one of the greatest coaches that he uses for all the best athletes in the world, is don't let your donkeys, feed from and hang around and eat from the same place and graze from the same place as your quarter horses. And don't try to find you in other people because you'll always be disappointed. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You know a little bit about achievement, right?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Okay, cool. That's it.